San Francisco 49ers, though, we got some news from Ian Rapoport today that evidently the 49ers have been fielding calls for a trade for Trey Lance. Mm-hmm. Not that they're the ones picking up the phone and dialing, but they have answered when others have called. Rapoport says, while no trade is imminent, the 49ers would almost certainly want to make sure Brock Purdy's rehab continues to go as smoothly as it's been going, and the interest from other teams in Lance has been there. And yes, that makes total sense if you do believe that Brock Purdy has done enough and earned the job, but he's just not healthy enough to get there yet. You want to make sure that you have your guy who you did trade up to take the number 3 overall pick with just a couple years ago. Right now, in terms of the odds for who will take the first snap for the San Francisco 49ers this year on DraftKings, Trey Lance is a -105 favorite, Brock Purdy +140, and Sam Darnold +350, which that number is actually a lot shorter than what it was initially.
For Darnold?
For Darnold, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're betting this, it's going to be Purdy or Darnold, right? I mean, so last report I read was that the hope was Purdy was going to be ready for the start of the season, if that was going to be the case.
But I see why the odds are what they are, because do you really believe that? I'm not sure that I'm sold.
I mean, I can only believe what the mainstream media tells me. So,
so you still have C.J. Stroud going number 1 overall in the draft too?
You know who you're talking to on that one. I was very no, you're right. So I guess okay. So here's the thing. So then is the bet then Darnold as the market is shortened there? So if we think that Purdy's not ready, and if we also think that the 49ers can get assets for one Trey Lance, well then that would lead you to starting the backup quarterback, who theoretically could be Sam Darnold at the beginning of the year, right?
Yes.
So. Yeah, I think that's the way you go. Because, look, if you believe in Brock Purdy, which, I mean, just reading between the lines of all the reports, it sounds like they do, why wouldn't you try to get something out of Trey Lance and recoup some of the assets that you shipped off to go and get him?
Well, and so I think the thing is, while obviously you have a ton of respect for Brock Purdy and what he was able to do the back half of last season, very impressive, gets you to an NFC championship before that injury takes place. But what is he going to be coming back from that injury, I think is going to be a big piece of it. And that's an unknown. And you did invest so much in Trey Lance, and you didn't get to see him play more than a couple games. Do you want to give him that opportunity to show what he could be when he's at full health? So I see it. I can see both sides of it, but I very much so do feel that, like, let's say you're in training camp and all those quarterbacks are on the roster, there's even still an opportunity for Sam Darnold to win the job early. Like that's very possible in my brain.
Yeah, no, I mean absolutely, or just get it because the guy in front of him is not ready.
Yeah, with the injury concern for sure.
Yeah, I it's really interesting because the whole point is it comes down to one word that you said, which is unknown. We still don't know what Trey Lance is. A lot of people, it's funny because a lot of people have pointed to him as being like a failure, but you're talking about 38 total dropbacks last season and 86 the season before that. He's still widely unknown to what he could be. And to your overall point, the unknown is also there's other sides of it, right? There's the high end and the low end. The high end of what Trey Lance could be in that offense could be pretty damn good. Yeah. And that could really maximize what you have as a team. So I think ultimately you're probably looking at it the right way. I'm really interested to see how they handle it, though, because it did seem that they had a lot of positive stuff about Purdy going forward. And the other part to his story, because we forget these sort of things, was it right before week 1 where the video of him making it rain in the club, right Trey Lance, and he was having a little bit of a good time. There have been reports of, and I know, you always want to take these with a grain of salt. There have been reports of him in terms of not work ethic, but just the way he's gotten along over there in the locker room, maybe not being the best. So who knows if there's actually something to that, and that pushes you in one direction or the other. But the potential of Lance is, I think, through the roof still. Yeah, it's just wild to think that dating back to his last year of college at North Dakota State, he's played fewer games than Brock Purdy played this season since that year. So it's just, we just haven't gotten the opportunity to see what he has.